For months now, strict COVID-19 lockdown orders have been imposed on citizens across the United States. Travel restrictions, mask mandates, curfews, closures, even limits on Thanksgiving gatherings in private homes. The rules, many of them enacted by Democratic officials in Democratic-controlled states, have gotten stricter and enforcement has intensified. But a growing number of people are pushing back. Many Americans are simply fed up, many frustrated that large gatherings like protests, as we had over the summer, are tolerated, while church services are banned. They're saying enough is enough. As New York Governor Andrew Cuomo essentially dismissed a Supreme Court ruling that came down just before Thanksgiving, blocking his restrictions on religious gatherings in certain areas. So let's welcome former federal prosecutor Jim Trusty. Jim, it was striking just late at night, the night before Thanksgiving, the Supreme Court came down with that ruling that was very different from the previous rulings that the Supreme Court had made on this. Pretty blistering, actually, in its attack on what Cuomo had done and also on some of the other previous statements that the Supreme Court had made. Was that and actually upholding the rights of religious organizations to hold gatherings? Was that an important turning point, do you think? Do you think we're finally starting to see some real scrutiny and some real pushback now over some of these restrictions?
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's overdue. I mean, you have to remember kind of the basics here. An executive order is not a piece of legislation. It's nothing that the people's elected officials have passed. It's a single man or woman deciding to push something forward that was designed to be an emergency stopgap type measure. I mean, that's what the basis in law for all this is, emergency powers. The problem is these emergency powers are getting used more comfortably, more increasingly, more draconianly, and you've got the power of the state behind it, because most states have a statute that says whatever the executive order, once it's on the books, if you violate it, you can be convicted of a crime and go to jail, usually a misdemeanor, but a crime nonetheless. So the whole police power is behind the governors or the mayors when they make these comments. And I think, there's a variety of factors that are eroding our trust in these executive orders to be doing the right thing. And I think that's reflected with the Supreme Court, particularly Justice Gorsuch, who even blasted Justice Roberts, as you referred to, saying we're not going to sit down and let these kind of ugly sisters of legislation affect constitutional rights.
So what does it mean, as you say, these so-called emergency orders, which have been in place now for quite a long time and actually becoming more restrictive? Courts have traditionally deferred, though, haven't they, to governments, to state governments and the federal government in times of emergency. Are we now going to see, do you think, more aggressive attempts? COVID is still spreading. We're expecting to see many more cases over the next couple of months, with perhaps more deaths. How is that going to play out, do you think? Are we going to see, as these states attempt to impose more measures, are more and more people going to actually resist them? Are they going to have the help of the law this time?
I think there's going to be more resistance. And again, I'm not trying to, turn it into, Chad, where everybody just has their own rules. I think what you'll see, though, is some genuine reluctance to keep trusting executives to do this right, to do it in a narrowly tailored way. The courts are starting to kind of wake up to the fact that this is not necessarily the same emergency that it started as. There's a high infection rate, but the death rate is dropping as kind of making it comparable to a seasonal flu. And then you have these high profile moments of hypocrisy that kind of infect us all as well. So I think there's a lot of reasons why the courts are saying we don't want this trend towards executive orders to run roughshod over things like the free exercise of religion or your sanctity in your home. So First Amendment, Fourth Amendment issues are in play here, and I think they're being protective of those rights.
And those, as you say, these double standards that you see applied, whether it's the governor of California telling people to stay home and then going out and enjoying an expensive dinner at a restaurant with a crowd of people without a mask, that I think really does undermine trust, doesn't it, and faith in this whole process.
It does. I mean, and look, it's not just, kind of right-wing kooks that are in their homes that hate the government. It's nothing like that. It's really a pretty widespread disgust at the hypocrisy. I mean, look at the Denver mayor the other night, tells everyone stay home, don't celebrate Thanksgiving. And about 10 minutes later, he's caught getting onto a plane to go to Mississippi and celebrate Thanksgiving. So there's example after example, like drumbeat examples of the hypocrisy. That certainly calls it into question. It doesn't seem particularly heartfelt when it's, rules for thee, not for me, coming down from on high. But I think there's just genuine constitutional issues about carte blanche executive orders, unending executive orders, not short-term ones, that are not particularly tailored to any sort of evidentiary findings.
Jim Trusty, thank you very much indeed. I'm sure this issue is going to become even more acute over the next month or so. Thanks very much indeed.